Unit 2, Activity 5 is looking at climatic processes and tornadoes. Once again, recent. Lucky that I live in the east end of Ottawa and not the west end, as the west end of Ottawa was greatly impacted by tornadoes a couple of weeks ago. So quite close to home. Isn't something that normally occurs, but we can potentially say perhaps with climate change, we may be seeing more things like that in the Ottawa area. But in this section here, you're going to basically be learning about tornadoes. And so the Minds On just starts us off with sort of a video you're going to watch. And when you're watching the video, you want to think about these 4 questions. Okay, so these 4 questions, because you're going to be submitting answers to these 4 questions based on what you see in this video right here. In the action section, it's going to start talking about, so why is South Central USA so susceptible to tornadoes? So now we're looking at the different things that need to be required, of the conditions, standard conditions that are required in order for a tornado to develop and to be created. And so going through this, you'll then notice all the different things that go with that. It talks about weather map conditions and symbols, a little quiz on the symbols right here. And then you have to interpret atmospheric conditions. So another quiz right here to see if you understand what's sort of going on. The jet stream's an interesting one. So the jet stream always runs from west to east across North America, and usually above the white line, which is the jet stream here. Above the line is usually cool air, below is warm air. So that has an impact on the mixing of air, because as you're going to see in a bit, that cold air, warm air combination is what's required in order to create a tornado. And this just sort of shows that in the summertime, it's much higher up in North America, the jet stream, and much slower. But in the wintertime, the one that's much colder, the polar one, ends up being a lot quicker. And so this will probably give you an idea that as you sort of approach into the fall, into the winter kind of idea, that you could potentially end up with the conditions required for tornadoes. So again, going through all this, it's explaining the warm air, cold air they meet and what else sort of has to happen. Here's a chance to do a tweet. So you're going to go create a tweet. If you have a Twitter account, you can make it in there and take a screenshot. If not, there's a fake tweet creator right here, and you can go in, you can create yourself a tweet. But basically, you're describing a specific type of physical process, okay? And you're going to put that into a traditional tweet, 40 characters, and then submit your work to that Dropbox. Part 2, looking at how we go from thunderstorms to tornadoes and how they progress, and again, the different steps that are needed in order for it to turn from a thunderstorm into tornado. And again, the idea of South Central USA being so susceptible based on what you're seeing here. Part 3 is Tornado Alley, so visualizing. I'm going to use ArcGIS for this. And so there's some instructions for sort of going in and bringing up different tornadoes. And so it's going to be a large number of black dots. These are all the tornadoes that touched down in 2015. So you can see that there are quite a few that have touched down. Most of them end up being sort of in the central to eastern USA is where you'd see those items. Well, this map's only showing USA, which is why they're all in there. But in the United States of America, that's where you tend to show them. And then a heat map kind of shows you a more centralized location. And that would be your tornado alley. So once you're done all this, then use that map to then create yourself your own map here. So the idea here is a template. So open that template. You can sort of adapt that one there, or you can create a similar template in a program of your choice. You need a screenshot of your map to put in there. And then make sure you add legend and scale bar, short description, and then add your name beside the cartographer's name section. So this just describes who cartographers are, so people who make the maps. And then it's important to make sure that you got a date, informative title, right? The background, make sure you change that. So there's an example of how things can be changed up that way. Again, here, so save a copy of your map to be shared with your teacher. And then in this case, it's talking about Google, but if you want to do it in a different way, you can do that as well. And then submit it to this Dropbox right here to then be marked, okay? This is talking about credibility. So this is a website by an organization related to tornadoes. And so it sort of wants you to take a look at it and think about whether or not it's a credible a source of information and what they're putting out. And at the end, it's consolidation. So then it says this map was created by a person associated with NOAA. And so it's a location of Tornado Alley, but also the conditions required to create the tornadoes. And so in this case, you'll be doing a spatial significance. So your ability to describe the extended tornado alley, the natural processes, etc. So again, tornado alley is your focus for the spatial significance paragraph, and you can use this to guide you through. In the end, you can take your snapshot and you can submit your work. Again, make sure these these components are worked into your spatial significance.